Hi, welcome to my video on solving an equation for a certain variable. We're going to solve for x when there are other variables. Even though there are many variables, the terms with the variable x are placed on the left side of the equal sign, and the other terms are placed on the right side of the equal sign. The property of transposition is obeyed. Let's do some examples. Solve for x. Remember, the x is staying on the left side, everything else is moving to the right side. So there's the equal sign. We have an x. The a moves over to become a negative. We could put the a, we could have done this and put the a in the front, so it makes no difference. Is it 2 minus a or negative a plus 2? The x is on the left, so let it stay there, and the b moves over to become a plus b. And then we divide by 3. We divide by 3, so we can leave it as c plus b over 3, or we can go c over 3 plus b over 3. We can divide the 3 into both of these. So you can have c plus b over 3, or two of these, c over 3 plus b over 3. We have g times x equals f. So that's a multiplication, so we divide both sides by g. The g's cancel out, so x equals f over g. The x is on the left, so a, b, x, and the h moves over to become a negative. So a, b, x equals 2h. 3 minus 1 is 2. And we divide by a, b, because the a times abx is ab times x, so we divide. They cancel, I get x, and this becomes 2h over ab. And notice I can't cancel here because there are no like terms. And the x, there's two x's now, so I have to put the x terms on the left side and the other variables and the constants on the right side, so it's negative p. And 4ax minus ax is 3ax. Because when you add, you have to keep the literal coefficients. Just 4 minus 1 is 3. And now we divide by 3a on both sides. X equals negative p over 3a. We have a bracket. We have declared a bracket by distributive property. C times d is cd. C times negative x is cx equals ce. And the x term stays on the left side, and all others move to the right side. So cd becomes negative cd. And they can't add together. So I have, since they are on like terms, I can't add them. I have to divide by negative c. So negative c's cancel out, x equals. Now I can leave it like that, but there's a c on top and bottom. So this is ce over negative c, and negative cd divided by negative c. So x is equal to negative e plus d, because the negative c is divided into both of these because c is a factor on the top common. So dividing both these terms by negative c, which is what we learned earlier, we'll get a negative e because the c's cancel out, and we get a positive d because the c's cancel out. Practice means pause the video, work the 4 of these out, and when you're finished, press play and see if your answers are right. Number 1, x stays on the left side and the b moves over to become a plus. Done. We have a multiplication, so we divide both sides by negative a. Because that's negative a times x, I'll divide. So x is equal to positive h over a. So it's the same as multiplying before, only now we have here, before we had x's and constants, but now we have other variables. So we can only divide and cancel if the variables are the same, like exponential rules. And we have 7x on the left, so we have a negative 5b plus 9b moves over to the right. 7x equals, add, we get 4b, and now we divide by 7. So x is equal to 4b over 7. Number 4, there's only one x, so the pqx stays there on the left. 2p, and the negative 8p becomes a plus 8p on the right. So pqx equals, and they're like terms, so we can add to get 10p. And we have to divide both sides by pq. pq. That means that x equals, and the p's cancels out, I get 10 over q. 10 over q. And let's continue. More practice. Number 5. Now we have some fractions in this one, so we know, or we can, remember that if the LCD here is the C, it's the only denominator. So if I multiply all of these terms by C, all the parts of the equation by C, that's a 6, that's a 6 right there. So if I multiply x over c by c, v by c, and 6v by c, then what happens? The c cancels out, so the fraction disappears. And the x stays on the left, and all other terms move to the right. So notice that's a negative, make it positive, and they're like terms, so 6 plus 1 is 7 CV. Again, different, but the fast way to eliminate fractions is to multiply all the terms of the equation by the LCD. We practiced that earlier. We have brackets, so we'll multiply by multiply by distributive property. 3 times a is 3a. 3 times x is 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times a is negative 2a. And the x's go on the left, so the negative 2x becomes plus 2x. And the 3a becomes negative 3a when we transpose. That's a 5x equals negative 5a. And we divide by 5. Note, we want the coefficient of the x to be 1. So that 5 into 5 goes 1, so that's a negative a, or negative, that's a negative 1, understood. Number 7, x is on the left, so 10xy, subtract 8xy, you move it over to become negative, and the 5y, and this y has to move over to the right side, and we add those, the like terms, they are like terms, xy, so 10 subtract 8 is 2. They're like terms, so we can, 5 minus 1 is 4, and we're solving for x, so we divide by 2y. And the 2 and the y's cancels out to give me x, and 4y divided by 2y is 2. So what I try to do is make up different scenarios, different possibilities, so you'll understand how to solve for x with other variables. But it's the same idea as solving for x when you have numbers. You still follow the same procedures. You still follow BEDMAS and, order of operations. So let's get rid of the bracket first. So that's 2ax. And a times negative b is ab. And the 6a. X stays on the left. And everything else moves to the right side. So the minus ab becomes ab. So that's 6a plus ab. They're not like terms, so we can't add. So we divide by 2a on both sides. 2a cancels in 2a to give me a 1x. And I can't add, so I have to take the 2a and divide into 6a. And ab divided by 2a. So the 2a is divided into both of these, notice. And that gives me, the a's cancel, so that gives me a 3. And the a's cancel, so it gives me a b over 2. So that's solving for x. Notice this, we practiced that when we did division of a binomial by a monomial in my earlier videos. So it's a good idea to practice. The 2a is divided into both of these, not just the 6a, but into two of these. So I write it down like this so I won't make a mistake. And we multiply by, get rid of the brackets, so 1 over b times b. The b's cancels out, so I get an x. And 1 over b times 4b is 4. Just show you that up here. So 1 over b times b, as b over 1, the b's cancel out and you get a 1. And the 1 over b times 4b, the 4b is over 1, so the b's cancels out and I get a 4. And that's a 5, so x equals 5 minus 4, so x equals 1. And number 10, we're solving for x, so the x stays on the left and everything else moves to the right. Now I put the y in front this time. This is a famous equation you're going to see quite often. But I could have put the y after. I could have had 15 plus 6y, either or. I can't add those because they're not like terms, so I divide both sides by -3. They cancel out, x. Now I have -3 on the bottom, so I'm going to go 6y divided by -3 plus 15 divided by -3. So x equals -2y minus 5. So notice x is on the left, everything else on the right, and you still obey what the division. You have to have a 1x. Now let's continue. Solving an equation for an indicated variable. All the ones we did just then were solving for x, having x on the left side. Now when we solve an equation for a certain variable, this is similar to solving for x. The indicated variable is placed on the left side while all other variables are placed on the right side. The numerical coefficient of the indicated variable will be a 1 when completed. So all the ones we did previous to this were always with x on the left and everything else on the right, all the numbers, all the variables. So if we're solving for y is on the left, everything else is on the right, and we got to have a 1y. So let's try some examples. Solve for the indicated variable. So we want to solve for g. So the g has to be on the right. Sorry, on the left. The g is on the left, so we'll divide by a. The a's cancel out, so g equals 7 over a. So solving for g is the same as solving for x. The g has to be on the left. Solve this equation for c. So c is on the left, and the other terms move to the right. -6 becomes +6. cy equals 9. And we're solving for c, so we have to divide by y. The y has to cancel out, so c is equal to 9 over y. We can't divide this. We have to leave it like that because that's a number and that's a constant. Let's continue. More examples. The more we do, the better we get. Try to understand what's happening. Okay. Solve for the indicated variable. So I got this equation. That's an 8 there. 8, we're solving for b. So the b has to stay on the left side. So 2b equals 10f minus 8a. Now I could have gone with -8a plus 10f. But either or. You can't subtract those, so now I divide both sides by 2. 2's cancelled out, I get b is equal to. I can't add or subtract those, so I'll divide by 2. So b is equal to 2 into 10 goes 5, so that's a 5r. And 8 divided by 2 is 4, so it's -4a. D, I'm solving for L. So if I'm solving for L, now L, notice L is on the right side. So if I want, I could flip the whole equation around like that because it's symmetrical. I can flip, or I can divide by W right where it is, and I'll get L equals A over W because the W's cancels out. And that's the same as L equals A divided by W. So I can either divide as it is right here by W and have the L on the right side, but if I flip, I can flip the whole equation around. So I can flip it around at the beginning and then divide by W. So it's your choice. W's cancel. So as true, what happened? We have the L, which we're trying to solve for, on the left side as is the X. And E, we're solving for C, and we have a fraction. So the LCD is B. B is the common denominator. So I'll multiply both sides by B. Okay, here we go. The LCD, we have a fraction whose denominator is B. So I'll multiply both sides by B. The B's cancel out, so I get a CB squared equals B times A and A times B. Either or, it could be an AB or a BA, your choice. And I have a multiplication. I'm solving for C. So I'm dividing by P squared. P squared cancels out, so C is equal to AB over P squared. D, solving for A. Again, I can flip this. A is on over here. I can flip the whole equation around, or I can easily say, there's my equal sign. So the A has to move to the left side. So notice I moved the negative 4AC over to the left side, and I change the sign because I'm solving for A. I want A on the left side. That means I have B squared minus D. The D moves over to the right side. And I can't add those or subtract them because they're not like terms. So that's a multiplication. So I divide by 4C. Remember, I'm solving for A. So the 4 cancels out, C cancels out. So A is equal to, we got to put 4C over here. So because you can either let it stay like that right there, or you can go B squared 4C minus D over 4C. And you can't cancel here because there's no like terms, no numbers the same. You can't cancel here because that's a D and a C and there's no numbers. So you could either let it stay like that or like this, your choice. You can let it stay like that up right there, B squared minus D over 4C, or you could go with the two fractions, your choice. Solving for the variable is, students find it confusing. So what happens is practice with this makes perfect. And if you do make a mistake, find out where you made your mistake. And we have a practice here, so work all these out to see if you're going to solve them right for the indicated variable. So number 1, pause the video, work these out, see what happens. We're solving for H. So that means H got to go on the left side. So if H, it's negative, becomes positive, and the V moves to the right side, becomes negative. And we're solving for H, so we have to divide by H on both sides. H cancels, F. That's an F. So now we can leave it like that because, or we can go G over H minus V over H. So your choice. Nothing can cancel here. So if you wrote it down as with the H divided into both of these, then that's perfect. Nothing wrong with that. That's excellent. Because when you divide the H, when you put the H below both of these terms, notice I have it, you cannot cancel. You cannot cancel because they're not like terms. So it's the better answers right there. And we're solving for T. T is already on the left side, so the H plus H moves over to become a minus H. And you can add these up, so that's 4H. So if you can simplify each side, do so. Now we're solving for T. T is on the left. We have to divide by 4H because that's a multiplication. Dividing by 4H cancels out. T is equal to 4H cancels and you get a 1. Remember, that's a 1. 4H divided by 4H is 1. You can't cancel and say 0. Number 3, we're solving for G. That means G is on the left side. Notice I keep saying the variable that I'm solving for goes on the left side. All the others go on the right side. So 4CD, and that's a minus, so it becomes a plus. And these are like terms, so we can add to give us a 4 plus 1 is 5, CD. And I'm solving for G, so the B as a multiplication, so I divide by B on both sides. B's cancel. And so that's a C, D, and a B. They cannot cancel, so you leave it just like that. And number 4, I'm solving for Y, but I have a fraction, so the LCD is X. So I multiply everything by X. So X times A plus Y over X, and X times B, and X times 0. So all parts of this equation are multiplied by X. When you do, the denominators will cancel. X into X goes once, so that's A plus Y. X plus B is XB or BX is your choice, don't make any difference. And X times 0 is 0. So we're solving for Y. So Y is on the left, which is good. And the A moves over to become negative A. The XB moves over to become plus XB. And the equation's finished because we have a 1Y. And number 7, we're solving for B. Let's see. B. B is here, but these are two like terms. So if I simplify that, I'll get a 15AB. Right? They're like terms I can add. Now the B stays on the left side. So this is a 15AB, so I divide by 15A. It's the opposite to, that's multiplication, I divide. They cancel, I get B equals, and 5 into 30 goes 6, that's 6 on the top with an A on the bottom, so B equals 6 over A. Number 6, I have a fraction, so let's multiply by the LCD called 3. Every time I have a fraction, if I'm solving, if I eliminate it, then it makes it easier to work with. So I'm multiplying all parts by 3. 3 times each part. So again, 3 times A, 3 times 1/3 Y, 3 times C, done. That means your denominator should cancel. So 3 times A is 3A. That's it. 3 into 3, that cancels out. So I get a negative 1Y or negative Y equals 3C. And I'm solving for Y. So the Y goes to the left and everything else goes to the right. So I could have had Y equals negative 3A plus 3C. So I can leave the C right there and move the 3A there, or I can reverse. I can move the 3A first and then the C after. So either or would be your choice. Makes no difference. Number 7, we're solving for F. F is on the right side, it got to go to the left. So a negative F becomes a plus F. 2W minus E. Done. Very easy to do. Solving for F, F goes on the left, everything else goes to the right. And we're solving, number 8, we're solving for F. So we have to eliminate the bracket first. So notice, this is a multiplication. You do not touch this B. So that's a B, so that's negative, if you want, that's a negative 2 or plus negative 2. So negative 2 times F is negative 2F. Negative 2 times negative B is a plus 2B equals 0. And now we have the bracket gone by distributive property. We're solving for F. So F is on the left side, perfect. And we move, we have like terms here. So what I can do is add B plus 2B. I can make it a 3B. So they're like terms, so if I add them first, or I could have moved them and then add them after. So I added these two terms, I just noticed they were the same, get the 3B. Now the F stays on the left side and the B moves to the right side. Plus becomes a minus. And now you divide by negative 2. Negative 2's cancel, so F equals negative divided by negative is positive. So it's a 3b over 2. Or you can also have 3 over 2b if you want. Same thing. 3b over 2 is the same as 2/3, or 3 over 2b. And we have some more samples to do. Pause your video and work these out. Excellent practice solving for a different variable. So we're solving number 9 for a. We have to eliminate the bracket. And that's a minus, so I can put a 1 there. I can do or do the negative of it. So that's g, -1 times a, -1 times b is plus b equals a. And we're solving for a, so the a's got to go on the negative a. Bring that a over, make it negative, and move the b over. You can go move to g and move to b. Both of these move to the right side because they don't have an a. Add -1 is a -2. Negative g minus b, you can't add these because they're on like terms. And we divide both sides by -2. Negative 2's cancel out. So that's negative g over -2 minus b over -2. And that becomes a equals negative divided by negative is a positive, so that's g over 2. Negative divided by negative is a positive, and that's b over 2. So dividing both sides by -2, the -2 is divided into both of these, note, and then you simplify. Number 10, we're solving for y, so the y stays on the right side, so -2y equals, I can move the x in front of the 8 or behind the 8, it's your choice. So 8 subtract 6x, and now I divide both sides by -2, cancels. So that's 8 divided by -2 minus 6x divided by -2. So y equals -4 plus 3x when I divide. Or you could have moved, your choice. Some people, you could have that. Y equals -4x plus -4 plus 3x. Or you could have had y equals 3x minus 4. Either or will do. Number 11, we're solving for h. So that means we can divide. We can let it stay right there and divide, or we can flip the whole equation around. So we got a choice. We can go 1/2 bh equals a. If you got two sides of the equation, you can flip the whole equation and it's still true. Now I can divide both sides by, I have a fraction. LCD. Fraction is 2, so I'm going to multiply by 2 first. I forgot that fraction for a second. So let's multiply both sides by 2, because the LCD is 2. 2 times a is 2a. 2's cancel, and I get a BH. 1 times 1 is 1. And now I can divide. I can, solving for h, so I can move it around. I can do this if I want. Move the BH over here and make it negative. I can move the 2a to the right and make it negative. Then I can divide. I'm solving for h, so I divide both sides by -b. So the -b cancels. I get h is equal to, that's 2a over b. 2a over b, because the negative over negative is positive. Or I could flip the whole equation and then multiply it by 2. So it's your choice. 2 times 1/2 is 1, so that's BH equals 2A. Now I can divide. I'm solving for H, so I divide by B. So B's cancel, so H is equal to 2A over B. Again, your choice. But if you're consistent, you'll get rid of the fraction by multiplying by the LCD, which is 2. Then you want the h to go to the left side, so it becomes a minus. So that's consistent by moving the h to the left side, because the h is what I'm solving for. This is more consistent with what we're doing. But you can flip the fraction. Flip the equation completely around, and it's still true. Number 12, we're solving for L. So The 2L goes on the left, become negative, and I got a 2W minus P. I could put the P minus 2W, makes no difference. And now I can't subtract those because they're unlike. I'm dividing both sides by negative 2. So L equals 2W divided by negative 2 minus P divided by negative 2. Negative divided by a positive is negative 1W and plus P over 2. Dividing both of them by negative 2 makes more sense. So L is equal to negative W plus P over 2. This is the famous equation for temperature conversion. That's Celsius and that's Fahrenheit. Right now the equation is solved for Celsius. So let's solve it for F. What is the equation when you solve it for F? First of all, the LCD is 9. So if we want, we have a bracket. So let's get rid of the bracket first too before we start. So 5 over 9 times F, and 5 over 9 multiplied. So 5 over 9 times 32, we get 100. What's that? 160 over 9. No cancellation. So now let's multiply by the LCD, call 9. 9 times C, 9 times 5/9 F, and 9 minus a minus, 9 times 160 over 9. 9 times C is 9C. 9 times 9 cancels, I get a 5F, and that becomes 160. Now we're solving for F, so negative 5F equals a negative 160 minus 9C, and I divide by negative 5. So F is equal to 160 divided by 5 is 32, and that's a positive 9 over 5C. Positive 9 over 5, or so you could have, if you want the C to go in front, that's a 9 over 5C plus 32. So you could leave it as 9C over 5 if you want. So you could have that. Just leave it like that. You could leave the C on the right side here, or you could put the C in front. Most of the time, here, this is the formula when you're solving for C. Now this is the formula when you're solving for F. So that means if you plug in C right now, you'll convert it to Fahrenheit. If you plug in F right here, you convert it to Celsius. So that's the two equations. I thought I might work those out. 14, we're solving for Y. So the Y stays on the left side, and everything else moves to the right side. So there's the Y stays on the left, and these two move over. That becomes a minus, and that becomes a oh, that's a minus, that's a plus. I moved the two of these, so that's a plus, and that's a minus. And now when I get that done, you can't subtract those because they're not like terms. I divide by A. A's cancel, Y equals. So that's A divided by A minus APX divided by A. A divided by A is 1, and the A's cancel, so I get a negative PX. Done. Solve for Y. Number 15, I want to solve this one for X. So let's eliminate the bracket. 2 times X is 2X. 2 times Y is 2Y. And I'm solving for X. So X is on the left side, perfect. And all the other terms, which is moved to the done. 2X is okay. And notice I have a 6Y and a 2Y. So that's a Y there. My Y's and Q's are almost the same, so be careful. And these can add up, so that's a 4Y minus 10Q. So notice the 10q moves over to become negative. The plus 2y moves over to become a negative. And I added the y's because they're like terms. Each side is simplified, so now I divide by 2. I get x, they cancel out, 2's cancel out. So 4y divided by 2, negative 10q divided by 2. So that means that x is equal to 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2y. And negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5q. And number 16, solve it for h. So to be consistent, I'll move the h to the left and the v to the right. Done. Or I could flip the whole equation around, your choice. And now I'm solving for h, so I'll divide by negative LW on both sides. They cancel out. I get h, and oh, that's a negative. Negative divided by negative is positive, so I get v over LW. I'm consistent in that the h that I'm solving for is moving to the left side, so I make it a minus. So all the other terms go to the right. So I flip both of them, and I got 2 negatives. It still works out. And the last one, solving for a. So let's eliminate the brackets. So we got a times x is ax. A times b, ab. X times 4b, 4xb or 4bx, it makes no difference. X times a is a negative ax, or it could be xa, makes no difference. Plus ab, so the brackets are gone. Now, I'm solving for a, not solving for x, so the a's go on the left side. So ax plus ab, and that's a minus 4bx, and oh, that one don't move over, that one stays over there. Oh, come on, hack it. So I'm solving for a, so that's a minus. I'm solving for a's. So that stays because it's an a, that stays because it's an a term. That moves over, negative ax is plus ax, and a plus ab becomes a minus ab. So all the a's have moved to the left side, and this is already on the right side, so I didn't change it. So that's, I have to add up. And what happens here, let's see. AB minus AB, that cancels. And an AX and an AX, is 2 of them, so it's 2AX. So what happens when you're solving? You just got to be careful. Don't do what I did. I'm putting, I just didn't think for a second. But all the A terms are moving on the left side, and the other terms move to the right side because that has no A. And it looks funny, but things work out in math. It might look complicated, but you keep working and working, and it works out. Notice that the AB cancels out because that's a plus and a minus. Now we divide, but we're solving for A, so we divide by 2x. Now it's hard to get used to, but you got to know what variable you're solving for, because most times you solve for x, so we're solving for A. So the 2's cancel, the x's cancel, so I have an A. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and the x cancels. So all that equation there works out to be A is equal to 2b. Just be careful. Try not to make a mistake. It's easy to make a mistake. Just be careful. That takes us to the end of the video on solving an equation for other variables. A lot of students find that hard to do, but hopefully the equations that we worked out here gives you a better picture of what to do. Be consistent. Practice. If you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. And click the notification bell because there's more videos going online. Write a comment if you wish, if you're a subscriber. And visit my math website at mathfullyexplained.com. And you have 3 sections. Me, my degrees and teaching experience. Section on video tells you about the teaching strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. And the section on content has the topics and the number of videos on those topics. And the black font is what's online right now on my YouTube channel. And the red font is what I will develop in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.